living life on your terms. Welcome to the Hopefulist with me, Wendy McClure. This is where we turn those nasty, negative thoughts into positive and work toward a happy, fulfilled life. Now, let's get started. Happy New Year! I know that we already had a podcast for the new year, but how long are you allowed to say Happy New Year? I kind of already stopped, it being the 9th of January, but it's always a nice little sentiment to throw out there, don't you think? So that's why I wanted to start with Happy New Year. I hope that your New Year resolutions, if you made any, are still going strong. I actually didn't really start any of mine yet. It's terrible, right? Kind of was a lazy bum all of last week. I did work. Wasn't too much of a lazy bum. There was some actual work involved. But no, I didn't get to all the things that I had, pictured myself for the start of the brand new year. 2023 is going to be a brand new Wendy. No, that's going to start this week. Not brand new, but you know what I mean. A better Wendy, a more organized Wendy, a more objective, working toward my goals Wendy. You know what I mean. So quick update on my vow to never diet again. I told you I've been very back and forth with this, and I am still deciding to stick with it for now. I have put on some weight. I'm not feeling great about the size that I am. However, there are some big benefits to it. Like I've said before, I don't get up first thing in the morning and jump on the scale, and that determines how I feel about myself that day. I'm not constantly obsessed with my next meal. I am not binge eating like I have done in the past when I diet and deprive myself and then go crazy and just eat everything I can get my hands on. It's not that I don't ever overeat, because I do. Especially if I'm out at a restaurant or something, I overindulge a little bit. But when it comes to, being at home, I really do just not feel that urge to go crazy like I have in the past. And that's kind of big for me. So I do really like those things. And again, like I said, it's not like it's, perfect. I've put some weight on. I'm up on the scale. Not crazy about that. But I'm waiting to see if I can, hopefully I've leveled off now. And, maybe I can start going back a little bit. And even if I don't, I'm trying to convince myself that's okay. Because I am more than my weight. Just as you are more than your weight. And hopefully you know that by now. Hopefully it didn't take you until 52 to figure that out. And not that I have figured it out. I'm just trying to convince myself of it. And I'll tell you one of the things that I have been doing to try and, kind of compromise with myself in order to be okay with having this extra weight on is I'm splurging a little bit on clothes, shoes, makeup, things that make me feel and look good. You know what I mean? I've recently purchased some new boots, and I've got some really cool clothes. I did go to the store and buy a bigger size jeans because I needed to. I mean, I could have, continued to squish myself into the old pair. But that's just not comfortable. And then you feel terrible about yourself all day because you're like squished. Excuse me. I had a little sneeze there. So I have splurged a little and indulged in some fashion choices, shall we say. So that's okay. I mean, if you have the money and if it's going to make you feel better, I say go for it. I just ordered a fabulous coat, and I cannot wait to get it. 3 to 7 business days. We'll see. We'll see how long it takes. So hanging in there on my vow to never diet again, and sticking with it for the time being. Still sticking with it. So on to the quote of the day. As you evolve, you will leave some people behind, but you will find those meant for you on the other side. So stay strong. And with that, I want to get into today's topic. I'm talking about living life on your terms. And last night, I happened to catch the Prince Harry interview on 60 Minutes with Anderson Cooper. And if you didn't get a chance to check that out, I urge you to do so. He's very big in the media this week. His book called Spare is coming out this week. And, he's really not holding back in these interviews. So I can only imagine what is in the book. And I am sure that a lot of people, as they watched this interview last night with Anderson Cooper, were thinking to themselves, wow, he has really just cut himself from his family forever. By saying all of these things, by revealing all of these things that he has revealed, especially from a predominantly private family. Or so we thought. Because according to him, they never talked to the media, but they did in terms of leaks. They would leak information that they would want out to the press. And he said this was a very common practice. So it was their way of communicating to the media what they wanted to be known. And with that, he, as he walked away from his royal duties, said that there was a lot of misinformation being leaked about him and his wife. And he got to a point where he said, I will not put my family through this anymore, nor myself. We all know the extent the paparazzi went to get at Princess Diana, his mother, of course. And they likely had something to do with her death as well, as she died in that tunnel in Paris, being chased by the paparazzi. And he said something in that interview that just really struck a chord with me. He had said that he had gone to that tunnel to see where it happened when he was older. I think he said he was about 23 when he went. He just wanted to see what happened. He said that he actually denied that she was even gone for the longest time, that he thought maybe she just disappeared to get away from it all and that she would come back one day and get him and William. But he said that he looked at some of the pictures from the accident scene to verify to himself that she was indeed in that car. And he said that he didn't get into the most gruesome pictures because his advisor at the time would not allow him to do so. And he was grateful for that fact. But he did say that he saw the back of her head in the car as it was crushed in that tunnel. And he said he could see the reflection of the paparazzi taking pictures of her dying in that car. And what he said was one of the last things she saw before she died was the flash of a camera. And how sad is that? As they tortured her from the moment she got together with Prince Charles. So that was a very poignant moment, and so sad. I remember the night that happened, and it was something that we were all just so in shock over and saddened by. But the thing with Prince Harry is, I feel like he's just at a point where he has nothing to lose. And some people, as I mentioned, probably are thinking, well, he's definitely gone and done it now. Now he's come out with all of this information that they would never want the public to know. But here's the thing, and I've talked about this just recently. He is speaking his truth, and he is telling the truth, if you choose to believe him, which I do, that they put out leaks to get out certain information that they want out there. And he has felt violated by that. He's felt violated by his own family, by some of the things that has been out there about him and his wife. And, you know, like her or hate her, he is protecting her. And I admire that. He left his life because it was his life that was making them miserable. There's so many people that I have seen talk about Meghan, how she just came in and scooped him away from his family. I don't think it's as black and white as people make that sound. He clearly loves her, and he is watching the same thing happen to her that happened to his mother. And he does not want that. And who can blame him? So, he had a lot of revealing information in this interview. And so, like I said, I can only imagine what is in this book. But wow. And I applaud him. Like I said, you should never fear speaking the truth, even when it makes others uncomfortable. I know that there is an unwritten rule, or maybe it's a written rule, for the royal family to not speak of such things to the public, especially to the press. But like I said, he has nothing to lose at this point. He's already not speaking to his family, it seems. So at least he has the truth on his side. He can, you know, be sad that his family is not the way that it was, that they're not communicating right now. And maybe what he's done will block that from ever happening again. But he has the knowledge and satisfaction that he was true to himself. And that's what I've been trying to say, you know, all of this time, is that is the absolute most important thing. For him to sit back and just allow the lies to continue was eating him alive. And that's what he said in one of the first interviews he did when he left the monarchy, is he said, I don't know how long they thought we would continue to let them lie about us. So if it makes the royal family uncomfortable that he is doing this, that, to me, is on them. They've seemingly done a lot wrong. And to expect to not be called out on that, I think, is unreasonable. I don't know. You have to watch this interview. You have to, you know, I'm very interested in the book as well. I don't typically buy books. I read a lot. But on the other hand, I don't buy a lot of books. Maybe I'll splurge. I think it's going to be fascinating, though. But I applaud him and admire him for speaking the truth, for not being afraid to make others uncomfortable, for calling them out for things that they have indeed done. I don't know why we're so afraid to do that. Why is it that we feel that we can't talk about something that happened to us when somebody wronged us because it's going to make things worse? I say BS. I say people need to own up to the crap that they do. And if they're not willing to do that, if they get mad at you for bringing up something that made you uncomfortable, then, oh no, I'm so sorry. Not really. It's one of those things that it's more important to be honest and to stand up for yourself than to continue to make others comfortable, even though you're uncomfortable. To worry more about how others feel than about how you feel. And I know that women aren't supposed to say this. I know that some people will listen to this and think, well, how selfish are you? Call me selfish. I don't care. I'm good with me. I have the truth on my side because I don't lie. Yeah, maybe I do a white lie here and there. Maybe I lie to get out of something. Maybe I tell somebody they look nice when they, could look a little better. But no, I am not somebody who lies. In fact, lying drives me crazy. So I will never call someone out on something that they didn't do. And if I do call you out on something and I misinterpreted that, then you have a chance to explain that. And then we can all take a deep breath and move forward. Okay, that's not what I meant at all. Oh, no? Okay, well, what did you mean? Have a conversation and move on. But no more of this just taking stuff to keep the peace. Not going to do it anymore. I'm going to look out for me. I'm going to do what's best for me. And I cannot tell you how that makes you feel inside. The self-satisfaction, the contentment, the pride to stand up and to take care of yourself first. To call people out on their BS just because you have the truth. Don't be afraid to call people out when they've done something to hurt you. Don't be afraid to call them out on their behavior in order to keep them comfortable. Because they've made you uncomfortable. And that's not okay. It's just not okay. So a couple of things I want you to keep in mind as we talk about this, living life on your terms. The first thing you need to do is to figure out what is going to make you happy. What is it that you're fighting for? What is your purpose? What is it that you want to do? Now, these are some really deep questions. And hopefully you're at a point in your life where you have some answers. I've always said that I think that the hardest thing in life is to figure out how you want to live it, what you want to do, who you want to be. I've always been pretty lucky in that respect, mostly just when it came to my career. I knew what I wanted to do work-wise. I wanted to get into the music business somehow, some way, and I didn't really get into the music business. I got into radio, but, music radio. But it did change my goals completely from music to more entertaining. And that was okay. I was good with that. I've had a good career. I have worked on many different stations. I've had some great moments in my career. And I'm very happy with how things have progressed and gone along. And I'm happy with where I am now. And I also know what direction I want to go in at this point because I've put a lot of thought into it. And I'm very clear about what I want, how I'm going to get there, and what I'm going to do once I do get there. But these are things that you have to figure out for yourself. And how do you do that? Well, you journal. I know you don't want to. But that's how it happens. You write down your thoughts on really, you can start on anything and just keep writing. It's just free writing. And things will come to your brain as you write. They say that you won't really get going until you're about a half hour in. And I know that you don't want to sit down and write for a half hour, let alone more than a half hour. But if you want the answers to these very deep questions, that's what you need to do. And journaling is very therapeutic. It's also like a release. There's so many times that I've journaled and it's like a load off. You know, it's a way to vent. I highly recommend journaling. And this is one of the greatest benefits of it is you get to delve into how you're really feeling on the subconscious level. That's what it helps to do. It helps to tear away all of these top layers of all of this conscious world that we constantly have throwing in our face: social media, TV, family, obligations, work, to get down to what we really want and how we really feel without all of those distractions. To figure out some of the conditioning and the indoctrination that we've had our whole lives, the shoulds that we've done. You know, you should graduate school, go to college, get married, have babies. These are all of the things that Gen X women have been told is just how life is for us. And we know now that's not true, that we don't have to follow that plan. It's okay to break out and be different. But you have to know what you want first. So number 2 is to work toward that goal. And don't let others get in your way. Don't listen to the negative talk. Don't listen to the, you should do this and you shouldn't do that. You know, I've had people all throughout my life tell me stuff I should and shouldn't do. A lot of the time, well-meaning. But they are not you. They don't know your thoughts, your goals, your dreams, your what you're working toward. Only you know that. To the extent of how badly you want it and what you're willing to do for it. You know, I'm sure there's people to this day that still think it's ridiculous that I have this podcast. That's fine. Don't listen to it. And they don't. And that's okay with me. But I'm not going to not do it because somebody thinks it's silly that I have a dream that I'm going to have a successful podcast one day. Don't let people talk you out of what you want to do. Don't let others dictate how you should do things. Right? Once you figure out what you want, you start working toward it. And number 3, stay committed to your purpose. Stay strong. Like I said, the self-satisfaction and pride in yourself is worth it. You will ruffle some feathers when you start living like this. There are people that won't like it. And that goes back to the quote of the day. As you evolve, you will leave some people behind. And this is hard. It's not easy. As people come and go in your life, it's always sad, especially when it's somebody that you've been close with for a long time, right? You can always hope that maybe somewhere down the road things will change, as Prince Harry, I'm sure, is. But you always have to be true to yourself first. You have to stay committed to your purpose. And if people don't like that, it's really a them problem, not a you problem. And I understand you don't want people to leave your life. I don't either. But sometimes that's just what happens. And I don't want you to pretend to be somebody else so that people will stay in your life, because that's a lie. You're not being who you really are. Maybe some people aren't meant to stay in your life forever. And you will find others as you travel along your journey that are meant to be in your life. But you have to stay strong. Do what you know is best for you so that you can feel good about yourself. Because it doesn't matter if you have 100 friends if you're putting on an act every time you're around them. It's not the real you. What's the point? What's the point of having, all of these friends if you can't ever really, truly be yourself around them? Like I said, it's difficult, but it's worth it. It's always worth it. So, with that, I hope that I made some sense to you. I hope that I gave you some courage to be a little more of yourself when it comes to the people in your life. And it always comes down to this. Do not make yourself uncomfortable in order to make others comfortable. I mean, that just goes into so many different things. So always remember that. And I will ask you, as I always do, please like, share, and subscribe or follow this podcast if you're not already. I would truly appreciate a review, and please share it with your friends. Word of mouth is the greatest thing that you can do, but so is subscribing to the podcast so that other people can discover it as well. So thank you for joining me as always. Go on out there and be badass this week. You know I'm here cheering you on. Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist. Now, don't you feel good? Make sure you come back next week. See you then.